Jimmy front and center. You want Jimmy in the middle?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
This is
the
only reason why I say we're
so
wrong.
If I look to the,
I moved it. I moved it. I moved it
to the right.
I moved it.
Talk to you guys, and
I moved it.
so now I'm looking at Dave.
Yeah, and then you're
so
looking.
now it's right.
Yeah.
I know last week when I was looking at AJ, I had to look at Chris. And I couldn't tell AJ that, hey, by the way, no disrespect.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live here on a Monday morning from the Flipping Made Easy studio right here in beautiful Matawan, New Jersey. That's right, beautiful Matawan, New Jersey, despite what Jimmy says. It is Sturch and Gooch, and, of course, joined on a football Monday by Jimmy Palumbo, host of the Jimmy Palumbo Show, and, of course, AJ Bascone behind the scenes, working the boards as always. Guys, for the first time and maybe only time ever, it is like a Cinco, like a five-way victory Monday. Ready? Giants, Jets, Cowboys, Packers, Yankees. Five-way. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again. No. We can't lump Rutgers into that, unfortunately. No, but that was Saturday, so it's behind us.
The funny thing is, Rutgers played the best team of all the teams I played. You can
That's
make that
not true.
That's
not true.
But I get
Stop
what you're
it.
saying.
Ohio State would be down by like 7 at the half against the Panthers. What do you think? Something like that?
Wow.
The Panthers are good.
The Panthers are 3-0 going in. Anyway, I'm not going to start that.
And the
crap.
Saints are good.
Rutgers had the harder game. Would you at least admit that?
Yes. Rutgers, yes. I mean, there
you go.
It was unfortunate. I mean, Rutgers just didn't look good at all.
What was the point spread?
That was
The spread was up there. Yeah.
Listen, I was at the game. I'll be brief on this.
Well, thank you for branding our the sticker, by the way. I saw the picture.
Is that a sticker?
Johnny hit me
Well,
with a
listen,
sticker.
as soon as the game started, when they lined up for the first time, first down, I looked at my brother and I was like, oh, my God. The differential in height and speed. I went through this early in Seattle years ago. We weren't there yet. But now we're already in the Big Ten 5 years already, 6 years. And Ohio State had, like, no lie, 6 inches from the cornerback through the line all the way to the other side, and I would say 4 inches wide. And I said, this game's unwinnable. It was like me guarding my daughter in basketball, which is 12. And so the game went on, and we actually got a couple of first downs to start the game,
right?
Which were like the kind of first downs where like the mouse just got through the cat's legs. I don't know if you know what I mean. And then they went out of nowhere. They went for this fake punt at the 50-yard line, which was ill-advised. And then next thing you know, they shit the bed there. The next thing you know, they scored on a run. But you could tell it was like we were not going to win this game. The runs, the receive.
Yeah, they had 30 points in the first quarter.
A guy in the stands who's a big fan of the NFL draft and fantasy and all that stuff. He goes, well, the weird thing is all 5 guys on the line will probably either be drafted or signed the next morning.
No, they're all going to get drafted.
And he goes, the wide receivers on Ohio State will all be probably drafted. So you're watching this, and there's these little D-backs on Rutgers that were like 2-star recruits from Chris Ash 3 years ago. And a couple of slants, a guy caught the ball, and it was like, you could just tell, like, we're not going to win this game.
The play that the Ohio State receiver made on the sideline, Olave is his name, I think. Bro. He jumped like 11 feet in the air,
and yet
tapped his toe.
And the coverage wasn't bad.
It wasn't.
It was just like, oh, I'm going up against a fourth
That's
grader.
the thing. When you go up against a team like Ohio State, you can do everything right, and it still doesn't matter because you're physically outmatched.
The thing that bothers me the most, I thought Rutgers didn't play well, but even if we played awesome, we would have lost, I think, 60-20.
Did Shiano call a fake punt quick?
Yeah, he thought.
What are we doing?
He said they saw it, but it was the crowd was getting into it. You punt the ball.
Just
our best player's a punter.
Play the field position game. You don't
I agree.
You don't give one of the better teams in the country half a field.
Ohio
You
State
don't do
was
it.
dropping 50 regardless of that fake punt. I don't disagree with it because
It's a momentum.
a team like Ohio State, you have to get those things against them.
But I actually think when you do it early, I think you actually piss them off. You poke the bear a little
Right.
bit.
Like, nice try. Here we go. I'm going to put a 50 burger
The only thing
on
I
you.
will say about Rutgers, a bad game. They didn't play well. They got smoked, no doubt. But now they play Michigan State. And for some reason, the dumb Rutgers fans, as I call them, they're like, okay, we beat Michigan State. First of all, Michigan State's ranked like 14th. They're 5-0. So for the first time that I can recall, we've played 3 top 15 teams in 3 weeks with players that are 2-star recruits from the previous coach, because Shiano's guys aren't really 100% in there.
So a lot of people keep telling me, like, give Shiano a couple more years, give him a couple. But then I'm like, well, I watched them in the first 3 weeks, and some of those kids can ball. You know what I mean?
So
it's
play,
like,
but they're playing Temple, Delaware.
So after
I don't
after
know.
Michigan State, there's a little bit of a gap where some of the teams they're good, and I don't think we'll be favored the rest of the year. But the goal is to be 5 and 6.
They got more respect after
5 and 6
the Michigan
playing Maryland.
game.
The Maryland game will be like our bowl game.
right.
You win the Maryland game at 5 and 6, you go to a bowl. That being said, Rutgers got overmatched, and Ohio State might be hitting their stride, and that's how it goes.
Well, that's how it goes indeed. But enough about Rutgers. We will talk about the first team to kind of before we get into the entire football slate of Sunday football. We do want to shout out the New York Yankees for getting to the quote postseason. Now, I have a problem with this. I don't know about you, Jimmy. Like, you're an old school fan. I'm an old soul when it comes to like the Yankee baseball. The champagne was popped last night. They were dumping shit all over each other's heads, and they were excited in the locker room. People had their goggles on.
Okay.
We're not even in the playoffs yet. I don't care what they say that Tuesday's a playoff game. Not to me.
I agree with you morally what you're saying. However, I was very excited in my car listening to the last inning.
I'm excited to get there. So
I think the Yankees they because of playing lousy in the month of June, I guess it was. They set themselves up to this was their only shot to get in, and I think in this case, the way the Yankees kind of battled in, really, that's a better word, battled in, I think it was worth the celebratory. What sucks is we don't host again.
I agree. Wait, we don't?
No, we got to go to Fenway.
Oh, that's fine.
The
Red Sox suck. But anyway, I don't think the Yankees were celebrating the victory so much as they were celebrating 1 year anniversary. Chop Sports is 1 year old today.
Is it?
There you go.
October 4th is when the idea of Chop Sports.
You know what's funny? What a great day then, because I mean, not only the Cinco de Victorio, right? Then we have Chop Sports anniversary from the creation of the Facebook group, and happy anniversary to my dad and my bonus mom Barry. They got married on this day in 2009, and you know what happened in 2009, folks? The Yankees won the World Series. Just saying, folks. It could be a thing. Could be a thing.
But I know what you're saying. I don't think the shit. Yeah, it's a bad look in some ways, but I think the way it happened this year, I'm okay with it.
Do you know that the reason why they do this now is the same reason why anybody does anything now, and it's for social media.
And it's television
for pictures,
ratings.
it's for ratings. This is done by Major League Baseball as much as it's done.
They're no
by
schmoes. They know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's all strategy
I'm a
at this
big
point.
Yankee fan. I can't wait for the playoffs to start, but I'm telling you right now, I feel like the Yankees are a plane flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and there's only enough gasoline to get them 3/4 of the way over the ocean, because they have to go at Fenway, then they have to go to
Tampa,
and then at the end, the landing strip in Europe with your low gas is either the Dodgers, the Giants. So
you also forgot about the winner of the
So then you got Houston
So my opinion, if the Yankees win the World Series this year, it's like 96, because they are, I would say, the playoff teams, they're like what, 6th?
Yeah.
You can make that argument. But even though as Yankee fans, we're so used to winning, we haven't won in a very long time.
Did you know this stat, though? The Yankees are 3rd in baseball in team ERA. Like, they do have good pitching when it's all said
and done. They got one hit yesterday.
The thing is,
until the last inning.
Did you see what was going on with the other scores during the day?
Yeah, that was crazy. But look,
Red Sox
that's
winning.
playoff baseball. You want to see them because you're going to run into some good pitching, and you're going to get one hit into the 8th inning. It's getting those big hits late in big spots. That's what you got to do to win playoff games. So I'm not going to crucify them for that. Tampa might have the best pitching in baseball. I'm pretty sure they have the number 1 team ERA. The way they do it is very similar to the way the Yankees have been doing it, where they don't really roll out this frontline starter. They bring in a bunch of guys that could fucking throw. Hopefully the Yankees can piece it together.
There's only one man that can lead them to the promised land.
And that's Giancarlo Stanton.
Because in my opinion, without Giancarlo Stanton, I think the Yankees would be 12.5 games back.
Yeah, and Judge and Stanton.
Judge had an MVP type season. I mean, obviously he's not going to win the MVP, but he was up there.
Everybody, including me, we were both mocking out the big Twin Towers, the strikeouts. They suck. They strike out all the time. But in reality, those guys, the big dogs, the Ortiz Ramirez thing, That's what brought
They're
it.
the reason why we're in this position on a Tuesday night, 8:00. Got to talk to Gooch after the show to determine if we're gonna have a little bit of a watch party here tomorrow night at the studio. Not even in this studio, like we're talking lobby. Like we got it all set up nice out there. It'll be on cable, so we won't be on delay. You know what I'm saying? It'll be even better. You know, we can live react of what's going on. So if you're in the area and you want to hang out, shoot me a message and we'll figure that out. But so the Yankees are there. So what they do with it, that's a whole nother ballgame. But I will say this before we get into the football slate. Yesterday was the trial run, the beta stage.
Yeah,
Right?
Beta
Stage. When the website's not fully
He's
go.
bringing that beta energy.
Yeah, the beta. I'm alpha father first and foremost.
My whole life I've been in beta.
So anyway, Hater Fantasy Sports started yesterday. We had about 40 plus entries into the game. It was free to enter. Low score wins. So Jimmy probably just salivates at knowing that if he just drafts a shitty team, you'll win some cash. $200 Visa gift card was on the line yesterday. Shout out to Hawaii Mike, one of the most loyal listeners that we got since Jump Street. He wins the thing. May or may not have beat the system in regards. I got a text from Scoop last night like, oh, it's kind of easy to win when you pick inactive players. There are kinks to work out. They're going to do it, but Hawaii Mike wins. And what Hawaii Mike is doing, instead of taking his money and running to Hawaii, which that's where he lives, so he's not actually running to Hawaii. He is Hawaii Mike.
Can I give a shout out to Hawaii Mike? Because I just had a big audition for NCIS Hawaii.
Ah, yes.
And if I book it, I will be in Hawaii.
All right.
Week.
Live remote.
Next week?
Next week, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I will be doing live from Hawaii.
I like it.
Now,
I like
listen,
it.
We have trouble doing the show from Mattawan.
Right.
Our technical, poor AJ is going to be like, he's in Hawaii. It's 7. I don't even know the time
It's
difference.
6 a.m. over there.
It'll be in the morning, nighttime.
I will say this, but for congratulations to Hawaii Mike on the Hater Fantasy Sports. By the way, hard to put a lineup together. I was tripped up
It's just as hard
multiple
to do it as winning
times.
it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what do you mean I got to spend $30,000 more
I don't
dollars?
know that
It was hard.
I get what you're saying, and it's only hard because the idea you're going into it, you don't want to pick any good players. But when you develop the understanding that you need to, it's not that hard. It's like,
Well, I learned something unique about fantasy. You guys mocked me out for my picks, right? Of
You
course
might
did.
excel here.
My regular family fantasy thing
Right.
I'm in. My record is 3-1, and I would be 4-0 had not Tua got hurt with 7 seconds into the first quarter because I lost the game. I lost by 1 point. So I'm assuming he would have at least thrown for 10 or 11 passes.
maybe I should get back on board and start helping Jimmy again.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be
some
remiss
credit.
though.
What did you? You didn't even help me.
I know.
I picked.
I looked at it and said, "Oh, you're."
I got rid of Tua and I picked up
3-1.
Danny Dimes.
And he played
And he
well
played
yesterday.
So,
But I would be
3-1.
remiss
But
to.
haters is tough. It's hard to pick. I think it's a great concept. I told a bunch of my friends about it.
Mhm.
They were like, wait a minute, how does that work? I'm like, don't worry about it. The concept is pick the guy who you think is going to suck. And I think that's funny as hell.
Yeah. So,
Especially
but
in today's society, everybody's like bitching and moaning. I think it's a perfect thing.
I'm going to get this out. I'd be remiss, but Hawaii Mike is not taking the $200. He's actually donating the $200 to St. Jude for this month. So it's a really cool thing for him to do that. He's like, don't tell him what I'm doing. I'm like, no. Like you're doing a good job. You're doing a good thing. But he is actually challenging anybody who wins Hater Fantasy Football or Hater Fantasy Sports to do the same thing. Now, I know there's Neanderthals out there that are going to want to win cold hard cash, and they're not going to want to donate the money. I'm not calling you out and saying you got to donate your money now that Hawaii Mike did it. No, but Hawaii Mike, my guy, that was very cool of you to do that.
Well, just keep in mind, live here from the Flipping Made Easy Studios.
Mhm.
We're getting sponsored by another company called Flipping Made Hard. What you have to do is you have to buy a house and lose the most money on it. That's how it works. So
You have to go into debt.
You have to go
Wind up
into debt.
hanging yourself, and
The
then
concept is hater fantasy.
And the person
Not
that
wrong.
goes into the most debt gets a $200 Visa card. And
What
you
if
can
you,
donate
what if you-
$200.
what if you didn't need to buy a home and get a bad mortgage to go into deep debt?
That's what you need
Right?
to do. It's hard.
What if it sounds like a good 30 for 30? What if I
Right?
told you? Yeah. So anyway, that is your hater stuff. Haterfantasysports.com is the place to be right now. They did everything went off without a hitch. The scoring was great. Everything was cool. I did monitor that as I monitored all of our daily fantasy stuff and our yearly fantasy leagues. Somebody said, "Oh, Scoop's 4-0 in the Chop League." I need a field goal out of Carlson tonight to be 4-0. Our boy, Big Body Bascone's about to be 4-0 in the Chop League. So
I've broken 100 points once, and it was 101.
oh,
And
okay.
I lost that week anyway. So
Oh,
it's
boy. All right, so he's Chris is in a bad spot right now. But yeah, so Anyway, everybody survived the survivor pool.
Yeah,
You took the Bengals.
I did.
I took the Bills. I think the Bills kind of did okay yesterday. AJ, who'd you take yesterday in the survivor?
I'm not in the survivor.
You're not in the survivor. Who would you have taken?
I would have taken the Bills.
Yeah, all right. So 80% of the survivor pool took the Bills. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into some of the NFL action that went down yesterday. And of course, we start off with the game that was more fresh in our minds because we all stayed up late watching it. And it was the return of Tom Brady to New England for the first time since he departed. First and foremost, 19 points is the recipe to beat Tom Brady. You know, the Patriots had a chance to beat Tom Brady. It's just a matter of getting it done. And I think Mac Jones played a serviceable game. First of all the Captain Literal men need to get off my ass, by the way. Last night after the game, I said, Mac Jones is going to be good in this league. Going to be good. Not like he's a stud now. He's going to be good. People are like, did you see his stats? He's 1-3. Hasn't won at home. I'm like, can everybody read? Like, gonna be good eventually.
Hasn't won at home. Like, what is that?
Played 3 games.
He's played 4 and the 3 at home.
He looked
3 at home.
He looked fine. He looked fine. No, it's the NFL.
That's why I was right. He played 3 games.
Not that to me. The games I watched yesterday, it seemed to me 9 out of 10 times when any NFL quarterback had to drive their team downfield to tie or get the win, they waltzed down. Whether it was Brady, Mac Jones, Daniel
everybody
Jones,
except Big Ben.
We'll get into that
He
later.
didn't actually have a chance to.
Big Ben looked like
they were down by
big
17.
shit.
I'm talking about. It just seems in the NFL now with the rules and the kickers that can kick 65-yard field goals now. If there's more than 30 seconds to go, regardless of timeouts, most NFL quarterbacks can easily waltz you downfield for a 50-yard.
Because you know what I think is a big issue, and I said this last week after the Packer game. Most defensive coordinators allow you to march right downfield because they give up the middle of the field in that spot. They cover the sidelines only, and they give up 25-yard chunk plays to the middle. It's like play straight up and trust your talent, and just tell them like don't let them to the sideline.
It doesn't help that some of these penalties too. Like some of these quarterbacks are just like blindfolded and throwing them up and said, you know what? There's going to be a tug of somebody's jersey, so we're going to get 15 or a spot foul, even worse. But in this regard, in this game itself, you know, I watched Tom Brady. He was kind of flustered throughout. You know, they were getting pressure on him.
Was giving him fits.
Yeah.
And that's what I said going into the game. I said, if there's anybody that's going to give Brady a little bit of trouble, it's going to be Belichick. It was actually a perfect game for me. I would have liked to see Tom Brady lose. I don't ever want to root for a Patriots team because they're from Boston. But I did want Belichick to kind of get a one-up. And I think that was kind of proven a little bit that Belichick is a really, really good coach. Not that it needed to be. But with that whole shit going on.
Yeah, historically, Tom Brady, now he's played Bill Belichick. But like even when he played like Matt Patricia against Detroit and when he played against Flores in Miami, these guys know his weaknesses. If there is any weaknesses, they know it, you know? And then Belichick and his psycho friggin' son – like, I don't know. Did you see that kid on the sidelines? Have you seen Belichick's kid?
No.
First of all,
let's just show you.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Show us. Watch this, Jimmy.
Get into some of those moments, right? These are those Tom Brady moments where he tends to always win.
Really, the only word for it is
drooling noob.
All right. So what's
his position?
He's defensive coordinator.
Wow.
But Bill Belichick is the defensive-minded coach. So basically, what they say is he calls the plays. So Belichick's like, "This is what we're gonna run," and then Psycho Man over here goes, "This is what we're gonna run." Like he sends it in.
Under Belichick, the security guard at the stadium is the same level as the defensive coordinator. You just kind of let the guys know where the meetings are,
right?
What the Zoom link is,
right?
Stuff like that. That's
You're the one setting up the Zoom, right?
Now, offensive coordinator. It's like you got to work 70 hours a week.
And you look at all Bill Belichick's defensive coordinators that got jobs other places. Romeo Crennel didn't work out. Matt Patricia, one of the worst head coaches of all time. So there is some truth to what you're saying. These guys get jobs because of Belichick.
Well, Flores, what was he? Linebackers?
I don't think he was a D coordinator.
No, I'm saying linebackers coach. Like maybe he was a position coach. I'm thinking.
Coach, maybe.
I mean, Joe working out for Joe Judge, special teams guy, right? But maybe, possibly down the line. But I will say this: for as far as this game, and shout out to the embrace of at midfield after the game was over. It lasted a blink of an eye. Belichick basically said, "Fuck off."
Yeah, but they did supposedly have a meeting in the back. And Belichick, did you hear the Belichick interview?
I did not.
He was like, "Yeah, you know, everybody was mad or giving me a hard time about how I treated Tom, but I had my son locked in a basement, fed him cocaine for 18 years. And all he had was the playbook, and he finally let him out. So he was like, I can't have 2 sons on one
Right.
team, so Brady's got to go. His wife was giving him a hard time, that whole thing. So Steve Belichick, fresh out of the basement for 18 years in a playbook and cocaine only, is now ready to coach. And everybody makes fun of him, but I can almost guarantee that Steve Belichick is going to be a good coach in the league.
Oh,
That does not bother me one bit. He's a
Do you think
football
he's a
coach.
successor?
No.
Because Belichick says goodbye. I'm going to
No,
relieve it to my
Belichick's
team.
not a human. He's not going to actually die. He's been the same age.
He's
since
like
the
Walt
since the
Disney right
Browns.
now. Like just
He's been the
freeze his
same
head.
age since
Listen.
the Browns days. Belichick looks the same. He doesn't budge.
Belichick.
bro.
He looks
If
like
you-
shit.
If you
Look like shit all the time.
if you hate Brady like I do, and I hate him because he's, in the 40s and 50s, I would have hated Ted Williams because he just got to hit every time up. So
Mhm.
I hate guys like Jordan, the guys who abuse my world.
Oh my God. Like,
But did you hear Brady's like after the game? Like he just said everything
He's the-
sweet and nice. I
this
was
is
like,
why-
he's even better than Jeter because Jeter gives you nothing. Jeter would have said, "Tough team out there. I'll talk to you later."
right.
But Brady was like, "Oh, my wife and Stan's the fans. We grew up here. What a nice place to live."
Oh,
at."
and when it's
If
all
you're-
said and done, I'm going to be back here in this
oh,
community.
yeah, if
I was
you're
like, what the fuck?
if you're a Patriot fan of Southie, I think you were throwing up on the television.
When I watched when I watched the Cowboys,
most disgusting thing you see is the Patriots Bucks jerseys split.
oh
in half.
yeah, what is that? Dana White did that. A couple other people with these split jerseys. Like, oh, we there was one meme I think on Chop Sports, the Facebook page today, where it's like, oh, that feeling when you win, and it's just like a split jersey, and the guy's like sighing in relief, like he just won, but it didn't matter because it didn't matter what team. But I will say, dude, good game, great game, despite the weather elements. Tom Brady, that guy, they
I
go,
hated the way
they win.
I hate when it ended. I know it was cool to see the ball clang off the thing, but like the rookie brought him down for the field goal and it hit the.
And it's
like,
Nick freaking Falk too, so he's a seasoned vet. But that,
yeah, to me
but
it would have been better if it went through a little overtime or.
how about the fact that they painted the
overtime, right?
picture?
It was a
It would've been
2-point
time.
game.
How about no? They would have won.
But it would have been. It was time on the clock.
It would have been a 1-point game though.
One point game with like 50 seconds.
But where are they going to
It's
go?
over.
Where are they going to get a point? Score 1 point to force it to overtime?
You're giving the ball to Brady with 50 seconds to go. And
Yeah.
Brady-
Oh,
So
so that's
Brady
your
would've-
overtime.
No, I was saying.
All right.
I didn't mean over. I meant hitting the post was like because it was a rookie quarterback.
But man, did
Yeah,
they,
no, it
did
does
they
suck.
point-
I would
did
have
they-
loved to see.
But did
him pull
they?
that off.
They painted that picture so bad for Falk. Like Collinsworth's like, here's a guy who can't play, who his plant leg is hurt, and we're gonna
What was
fight.
that?
I'm like, just let him kick it.
And then he
Like,
blew the call. It's up and it is. Oh! It's like a
'Cause Al Michaels-
hit the post. I
Al
heard it
Michaels
on
is
my
now
TV. He was like, oh.
78, 90 years old.
Yeah.
Like he's just like he had to listen for the doink,
I
and
know.
then he's like, "Wow, it wasn't like the doink that Tucker had."
I mean,
I'm
you
like,
kinda
"No shit, he
should
missed."
listen for the doink.
Oh my
Well, there
God.
should be his,
All right.
Rather than getting it
his
wrong.
spotters totally failed him.
Right? It was next, like
Yeah.
whispering in there,
He was
like,
probably
"What is
like-
it? I don't know. I don't know either." Oh, okay, yeah. Whoops. All
Somebody
right.
say something.
The Bucks are 3-1. The Patriots, it's interesting. They're 1-3.
Couple tough losses.
Tough
but
losses. Mac Jones looks okay, so
They
I
are
think
who
they're
they
going to
are.
be okay in the long term. But that division seems to be run by Buffalo. We'll get into Buffalo in a little bit. What's next on the dock? We got we'll stay local as part of our Cinco de Winnow today. With 5 wins, we'll start with the New York Football Giants, who get a win in overtime against Craig Karsh's New Orleans Saints. You don't know who Craig Karsh is, but anyway, he's the only resident Saints fan in Chop Sports. But what a disappointing loss, man. This is like when I say Jekyll Hyde about the Saints, this is exactly what I was talking about. Like nobody in their right
Can't lose-
mind
The Saints can't lose at home to
would
an
have
0-3 team.
and on the emotional high of knowing that the stadium finally opened after the last hurricane, which happens every third year, it seems like that dome gets ravaged by a hurricane. They open the stadium, you got these feels, you're winning the game the entire time, and here comes Danny freaking Dimes, like just doing his thing. And then shout out to Saquon Barkley. He looked a little bit back yesterday.
Danny
If I
Dimes
was
threw
like-
his first pick finally yesterday, and it was on a Hail Mary before half. He hasn't really turned the ball over, so that was the one
through
knock.
the air. Through the air, he hasn't turned the ball.
He hasn't turned it over nearly as much as he did regardless. Like he's
He's
not putting the
protecting
ball on
it.
the ground. He's doing a better job.
Listen,
You want to see that now because now he'll probably get paid if he continues this. He'll at
If
least
I was
get another
live, if I was
contract.
live on the radio somewhere during the game yesterday, I'm sitting on my couch and the Giants to me, I'm texting my friends. That first half, there was simply just nothing going on for the New York Football Giants. You had an average quarterback. Barkley continues to slip. He slips when he runs. His feet are not under him. And if you talk to people that know about knee injuries, your brain says cut right and your legs are a half second behind or how many milliseconds. He was slipping around in the beginning. There was play calling was like, there was just, I was sitting, what a boring, what a dead game. Second half started. Saints never pulled away. And the second half reminded me of the Giants last year. Hanging in there, playing tough. And once the tide turned, I felt good about the Giants the rest of the way. The defense totally stuck it to them. And Daniel Jones looked like a quality, decent quarterback. And they won a game. Now, NFL, you 1-3. You are what your record says you are. But you know what? You go to next week, try to get number 2.
You
I
ain't
don't
getting
know how
number
good,
2. You ain't getting number 2, by the way. You're not getting it.
Because they played. Well, always remember this, though. In the last 30 years, it always seems like when the Giants are really
Can't
good.
go to the last 3 or 4 years.
No.
It's got to go all the way back to when I was a little baby sturge.
You'll agree with this. When the Giants are really good, the Cowboy-Giant game, like the Cowboys dog them every now and then. When the Cowboys were very good under Jimmy Johnson and the Giants were just okay, the Giants sometimes would occasionally split with them.
You want to hear something?
Win on the road.
It's funny you say that. I'm playing Bearcat football when I was like 8 years old. When the Cowboys are just beating the shit out of every team. We get last second Giants tickets, Giants Dallas tickets. And my dad's like, "Yeah, let's go." Boom, we're gone. Cowboys lost that game, and they lost like 3 games that year. And I'm like, the Giants beat them.
There's only been a few years where they were both good,
right?
But most of the time, the team that's lousier actually steps up and dogs somebody.
Yeah. So the Giants. Oh, I can't see that. Okay, got it. Look at that. I get producer Chris over here dropping notes now. I love notes over here over the air, but all good. But yeah, so the Giants get the win. They're 1-3. They sit right now in 4th in the NFC East. But again, the NFC East is not going to be one of those divisions where you're like, well, we'll never compete with the rest because the rest of the division kind of stinks. Other than my beloved Dallas Cowboys, we'll get into them in a little bit. But the Saints, I mean, bro. Again, Jekyll Hyde. This is a perfect record for a Jekyll Hyde team. They're 2-2. And the 2 wins they do have are great, right? And they beat the brakes off the Packers. People are like, oh, the Saints are going to be for real. And then the next week they blow it. And then the next week they play who they play? Who they beat?
Patriots.
The Patriots, right? And then, they beat the Patriots in Foxborough. This is the team. And then they go home and lose to the Giants. This is guess what? Jameis Winston is famous for throwing 30 touchdowns and 30 picks in 1 year. These guys are going to get 8 wins and 9 losses, or 9 wins and 8 losses. This team is not built to sustain. Sorry,
9-8 might do it in the NFC.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. With that NFC West, the way it's going to play out,
I think you guys got it all wrong here. I think the Saints stink.
They're going to be in the hunt.
2-2. So the Saints are 2-2. They're in the hunt, but they got to play each other. The Saints don't have to play.
The Saints stink. But beating the Packers, that was an anomaly. One of those classic NFL scramble it up and just. First game of the season.
I was banking on that after week 1.
No, it's just
throw that tape away.
I think the Saints stink.
All right. Moving on to the other New York football team. AJ Bascone's New York Jets get the job done 27-24. Take out the Tennessee Titans for the Jets' first win of the season. I'll throw this to AJ because I know he's excited about it. When you're looking at Zach Wilson, bro, this is the Zach Wilson I was waiting for, correct?
Yep. I mean, listen, yesterday, I'm not going to go and sit here like yesterday was all rainbows and butterflies. There were definitely some parts of the game that I wish we improved on. Zach Wilson did have some errant throws, so we need to improve on those types of things. But I'll tell you what, Sam Darnold, the kid, he's doing great things over there in Carolina. I have never seen him make some of the throws that Zach Wilson was making yesterday. The one deep down the field to Crowder on the right side. Keaton Cole in overtime with him getting his feet barely in bounds. The Corey Davis touchdown. Zach Wilson was doing everything yesterday. He looked mobile. He looked poised. That's the Zach Wilson that we want to see. And another thing got to say is that defense, they have been holding up pretty damn well. Derrick Henry, he did his feasting yesterday, but we took care of business for the most part. So I'm very happy with what I saw from the Jets yesterday. Titans defense is a liability.
Can't tell if AJ's excited, but the Jets do get a win. That's an excellent breakdown, AJ, because that was exactly the game I watched. And Zach Wilson seemed to be composed. He seemed, this is, I think Robert Saleh went on the record and said, this is the guy that we see in practice. These are the throws he's making. So it is a nerves thing when you're a kid. You're brand new in this league. The Titans defense, look, coming in, Titans defense was not that great. People are knowing that.
Yeah,
even if Vrabel
coming out. Still not great.
Right. And Vrabel, Mike Vrabel, the head coach, defensive-minded coach, he just can't see. He doesn't have the right players on the field right now. And Zach Wilson played his ass off.
When you have liabilities in the secondary, you dealt with it. Now you're starting to see what it's like to have a really solid secondary. You can't win in this league. It's almost as important as blocking and getting to the quarterback is being able to cover now. because the
This
way
is
the
a
league
pass
is
level
designed, it's
injury, yeah.
impossible. There's 3 good receivers on every team. You got to be able to cover.
True.
I will say though that the Jets defensive line ruined that game for the Titans on 3rd down. 3rd and short, there was like 6 sacks. Who was the defensive end for the Jets that blew up that game?
Jonathan Franklin Myers was
Is he the one that
feasting.
blew up
MVP of that game.
Derrick Henry?
He completely wrecked.
There was
the game.
one guy
No,
who
that was
just
a linebacker.
That was Quincy Williams.
Yeah, but the Jets defense was hitting, flying around. Definitely all gas, no brakes. But let's be real. As good as Zach Wilson looked, it was against the Titans. So obviously, as a rookie quarterback, you want to see him do good. It doesn't matter. It's an NFL defense. But we're gonna temper expectations because it's the Jets, and it's only 1 out of 4 weeks. But you want to see that, and the Titans were without Julio and AJ Brown. So,
Yeah, I mean,
that's the game right there.
The
given
bottom
this,
line was that the 2 New York football teams
One.
were desperate for a win, and they both won in overtime.
in overtime,
So,
yeah.
in other words, it's a feel-good Monday morning, and you know what? We'll find out which New York team builds on it next week or in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I just
Yeah,
don't know.
sure.
Gonna
Jets-
make that
Jets
the
play in
Giants
London
loss.
next week. Falcons, 9 a.m.
The Jets lost to the football team. The Giants lost to the football team stings a little bit more now because 1 offsides call away from being 2-2.
Actually, you ask me, they should be 3-1, but
Yeah, fair.
so there you go. That's why when you talk about the next team we're about to discuss,
Yeah, well, before we do that, let's take a little break right now. And when we come back, we get the rest of the NFL docket, including both my Cowboys and Gooch's Packers. So let's take a little break. AJ, hit that bad boy. You know, myself and Gooch are both getting a little older. One of the first things to go is your vision. Thank goodness for our hookup over at Absolute Eyewear in Woodbridge, New Jersey, right on Main Street next to the train station. They have glasses for all ages, all budgets. They have safety glasses, sports glasses. They are a full-service powerhouse offering eye exams and even free lenses for the kids. They work with BCBS, AAA, AARP, giving massive discounts. They're open 5 days a week, closed on Wednesdays and Sundays. Call 732-326-3937 to get your first pair of Ray-Ban, Burberry, Coach, Polo, you name it, they got it. Go see Craig and Johnine right now. All right, we're back. You want to take one more? Yeah, let's take one more break. And when we come back, like I said, we got a whole lot more stuff to go over with the NFL. But another word from flippingmadeeasy.com.
Hi, I'm John, and I'm one of the founders and CEO of Flipping Made Easy. We created Flipping Made Easy because flipping houses is our passion and profession, and we want to share it with people like you. This work has brought us great success, but trust us, it wasn't always that way. When we first started house flipping, we had to find everything out ourselves. Nobody gave us a helping hand. Because of this, a lot of mistakes were made, and some of them cost us. We wouldn't change our journey now, though. It's what inspired us to create this platform. The process is full of confusion and uncertainty. There's a fair amount of jargon to get to grips with, and if you don't know the legal context, then you could run into serious trouble fast. I want to make sure that Flipping Made Easy is for people like you. This platform makes it easier than ever to be a successful house flipper.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well,
No, we're still streaming right now on Twitter and on YouTube right now, but we're having a couple little technical difficulties with Facebook right now. Still trying to figure this out. Yeah, this is fun.
It's tough, but we're gonna have to move on to the next game anyways because we got a show to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
AJ getting involved here from the Omni.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. There's
As
still
Dave struggles to get the snap off. Can he do it?
Yeah, nope,
And
can't do it.
Can't want to tuck it over.
This
We got 3 centers trying to get the snap off right now, but there's no snaps to be made.
there's no quarterback there.
Once again, listen, I'm technical savvy. I'm sure I can figure this all out.
Yeah, I just tried it again. I can't.
I want to do the
anything
game
for it.
via Abacus.
Can you-
Is that possible?
Can you do it from the computer, AJ? The computer right in front of you.
Like join the StreamYard.
Join the
try
StreamYard
that?
there and try that. It's embarrassing.
Got the hat on, the shirt on. You're all ready to go, bro. All tickle pink. No, I was going to wear my Giant shirt today, but I have to do cameo thing and critique thing. So we're still on right now?
Well, there's nobody in because it's on YouTube. Joe is paused.
But where someone could be watching us talk right now.
Yeah.
Oh. How are you, man?
Good, bro. How you doing?
How's it going? How was your weekend?
Packers won. Yankees are in the playoffs. That's basically how I judge my life. So
Rutgers game was a long day. It's just so, you know what it was? I was disappointed until I saw it. I was like, I can't. I was trying to explain to my buddy like how, because in the NFL, like everybody looks the same. Really, it's just a matter of who. NFL, anybody can beat anybody, But like sometimes in college, and I thought we were past this a little bit. Like you just line up in a team, and you're like
5 or 10 schools in the country
it would
that
be like you guarding, I swear, I don't know, like you guarding my covering my daughter. Like she's not going to get over
at all.
And even if she does, you'll be able to recover. You know what I'm saying?
And the quarterback's not going to reach.
That's how it looked to me. And it's like, and so everybody's like, oh, Rutgers played bad. Yeah, they did. But like, it was like, even if it was 10-10 at half through some kind of fumble interception, like if we picked off the ball and drove it to the 15 7 times, we probably would have had 4 field goals. I don't know if you know what I mean. It was like, or vice versa. Like, it was like, and then like what hurt was the interception for a touchdown. It's like, all right, if you're going to get slapped, at least let them go 80 yards easily.